Philippine culture-based education. Culture and development. All models of development are essentially cultural. They reflect a culture's perception of the problems faced by society, and they incorporate solutions to those problems based on that perception and developed from the cultural resources of the society itself in order to address the specific situations in society. Felipe M. de Leon. Culture is from the Latin root word colere, meaning to inhabit, which later developed to colonus or colony, Latin cultur, which means cultivation or tending, French couture, which suggests fashion, Germanic culture, which is synonymous with civilization, English mime word. Total complex of values, beliefs, practices, behavior, patterns shared in common and transmitted by a group of people from one generation to the next. The UP cultural diction. The whole complex of distinctive spiritual, material, intellectual, and emotional features that characterize a society or group. It includes not only the arts and letters, but also modes of life, the fundamental rights of human being, value systems, traditions, and culture of economic depravity. Api, Busabos, Alipin, Salat Soyaman, Dusta, Aba, Duka, Anak Paus, Moralitang Taga Lungsod, Kawaawa, Kalatag Pingan, Anak Dalita, Maharapa. Sadaga, Biktamanka Hirapan, Sumasalasapagkane, Pade Gudam, Pulubi, Pabra, Hirap Sabuhay, Lupig, Mumu, Ladikanglipianan, Lalayanglipianan, miserable, street children, Tang Rasa, Puritak. Education from the Latin root word educare, meaning to rear or to foster, or educere, which means lead forth, is the acquisition of knowledge, skills, and attitudes that make people do better in their life choices. Organized system of instructions designed to create meaning, making sense of individual or communal life ways in the and appreciation of life will make life it more livable. Randy David on Philippine education. Successive crises in the Filipino nation's life have led many thoughtful analysts to suspect that the country's main problem could be the dysfunctionality of the entire educational system. The system, largely borrowed and imposed from without, has failed to spring roots in the soul of the people. In milieu, it arrogantly asserts its colonial superiority. In the name of nationhood, it has suppressed native sensibility. It continues to denigrate traditional folk ways and wisdom in the name of global cosmos. Philippine culture. We are a country without memory. Francisco Cianaloze. We are afflicted with a cultural version of Alzheimer's disease. NVM Gonzalez. What we have is worse than amnesia. It is dementia. Bienvenido Limbe. History. Our more than 300 years of Spanish Catholic religious orientation taught us to forgive wrongdoings as an expression of our Christian charity. The admonition is to forgive and forget. We have forgotten that forgiveness is anchored on justice, recompense, and restoration. How can we forgive someone who never comes forward to admit crime or sin? Recognition is the conscious ability to account for the mistake, taking responsibility for the consequences, and learning the precious less status. We have long-term and short-term memory loss because we do not have any sense of history. History should have taught us the important lessons of the past, which must not be forgotten because they were written with the blood of our countrymen. We do not take seriously our historico-cultural education because up until today, our education colonial in character. K-12 without a strong cultural base will never become meaningful and relevant. It will never healthy woundedness in our national psyche. Without cultural roots, without cultural memory, without cultural soul, our educational system will fail. For in these cultural essentials we find meaning in being human, in being a member. To us, history was taught without its lessons. Jesse Carpio. When education fails to transform culture-based education in a culture-based education, culture is the foundation which provides both perspective and principle, framework and methodology, impetus and driver of discussion, assessment, and evaluation upon which skills, abilities and knowledge regarding these land the world at large are constituted, mediated, and are grounded in the unique cultural beliefs, values, norms, knowledge, heritage, practices, language, experience. Philippine culture-based education. In culture-based education, culture is the core and the foundation of education, governance, and sustainable development. It seeks to develop among Filipinos a greater awareness, understanding, and appreciation of our arts, history, geography, and heritage towards the evolution of a consciousness that will improve the quality of our life. A CBE in the Philippines envisions to develop a nation of culturally Literate and empowered Filipinos who are not only patriotic and ardent nationalists but at the same time, responsible and committed global denizens as well. Pedagogy of culture-based education. Culture-based education makes us engage the world. The knowledge systems, representations, discourses, and theories produced from the logos centers of the empire from the perspectives of the Filipinos. Culture-based education is our radical attempt at decolonization, our post-colonial interrogation of our heritage and identity in order to come to terms with who we are as a people and as a nation. Culture-based education makes us knowledgeable and appreciative of our national and local history, heritage, language, and culture as expressions of the Filipino soul. Culture-based education builds bridges and promotes dialogues with our Southeast Asian neighbors. Through common, why culture-based education is culturally rooted and contextualized, upholds the primary role of the community's culture bearers in the teaching-learning process, nurtures a sense of identity and strengthens community participation and sense of belonging. It promotes an understanding and appreciation of cultural heritage and history. It inculcates a sense of responsibility and it develops cultural skills and competencies needed in interacting with other people and culture. Culture-based education help us remember who we are and what we are as a people. It develops not only our identity as a nation, but more importantly, it instills in us a sense of national pride. By preserving cultural memory through culture-based upon a greater understanding of our destiny in our global society of human beings and the global community of nations. By facilitating the healing of our national wound through culture-based education, we can now move forward, and finally join other nations in their steady march to progress, marching to the legal foundations of culture-based education. 1987 Philippine Constitution, Article 14 states that the state shall establish and/or provide the following: quality education, accessible to all. Sec. Point 1, complete, adequate, and integrated and relevant education. Sec. Point 21, study of valuesism, etc. Sec. Point 32, equal access to cultural opportunities through education. Sec. Point 18, National Cultural Heritage Act of 2009, which admonishes the teaching and learning of cultural concepts and procedures through culture-based education. Enhanced Basic Education of 2013, RA 10533, 10.2, education shall be gender, and consider this. It is said that to awaken to critical consciousness, it is not enough to grieve what is wrong in the world, one needs to fall in love with what is right in order to be able to cherish it, nurture it, fight for it, and if it